With 755 horsepower, the 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 is the most powerful Corvette ever. It's also the most technologically advanced. Behind me are the rolling S's at Road Atlanta, and we're here to see if we can reach to the supercar levels of performance afforded by this thing's massive power, big tires, and the tall wing on the back. After that, we'll take to the streets to see if a car this powerful can behave itself in public. This is a monster of a car. I've had some brief track opportunities with it this morning to get used to the pace of this machine, which is phenomenal. We're gonna warm up as we get out to Road Atlanta and sort of build up to the pace that this car can operate at. Now, initially when you hop in this car, you have this shrine to the engine right above you. You see the line of the hood. It kind of dominates the center of the view. You can see over it. It doesn't affect visibility, but it's immediately obvious. And that kind of speaks to what makes this car special. It's a monster of an engine. Listen to that. That is tremendous, tremendous acceleration and incredible power. But what I'm finding so far, from my brief time here at Road Atlanta, is that everything else in the car has risen to match. Pardon me while I lay into it on the back straight. You know, 150 mile an hour indicated. We're gonna ease up a little bit on it because I need to focus on talking rather than driving. But like I was saying, the attributes of the rest of the car, the steering, the braking capability, the grip, every system of this car is rising to the same level of the power. And I think that's what makes it really impressive initially, is that this is undoubtedly a mega fast car, but it's one that doesn't terrify you with its performance potential. There's a level of electronic sophistication that is unparalleled at this price point. But it's hard not to get totally swept away by the power of this engine, so that's why I keep coming back to it. This car has an electronically controlled limited slip differential. It has shocks filled with magnetically responsive fluid that can react faster to inputs and everything. This car has a super sophisticated stability control system that teaches you how to drive it quick, but also makes you go faster. We haven't even gotten into exploring it yet because the limits of this car are so high that frankly, it takes a while to grow into it. But I think what's impressive about this car is, despite how fast it is approachable. You could buy this car, do track days with it, and grow with it as a driver and as an owner. And I think that's a really special feat, because you will never be more talented than this car is fast, ever, unless you are a racing driver. Casually grazing 150 miles an hour on this straight. Okay, I'm just gonna enjoy driving this now. Man. This particular Corvette ZR1 comes with the car's track performance package. A lot of those changes happen underneath the sheet metal, but one of the big differences that is immediately obvious is this giant carbon fiber wing. Now, the way this thing is mounted is actually into the structure of the vehicle, and it makes, loading the rear hatch a bit more difficult, but we're assuming that's okay if you're looking for the track performance this thing delivers. Also giving you that performance are these Michelin Pilot Sport Cup tires, which are basically track-oriented tires that you can drive on the street. But as we make our way to the front of the thing, what really matters is what's under the hood. That's right, there's actually a hole in the hood of this thing, and that's because this engine is so tall. It's tall because it has a larger supercharger and a bunch of added cooling on it to help it, keep at the right temperature. The supercharger is way larger than the one on the Z06 and it has way more cooling capacity, and the downside is it's taller, so it pops literally through the hood. The cool thing is, from the top, you can actually see this shake when you're looking at it from, a camera from the top of the vehicle. This all makes for 750 55 horsepower, making this the most powerful Corvette ever. Now, what's important about that is it's not just the power, but likewise, everything in the car has to be built to accommodate and be able to drive to the level of speed this thing can develop. And that's why you have the massive cooling, that's why you have the aerodynamics, and that's why you have the electronic sophistication inside. We had a lot of time to take this car on the track yesterday, and I've had the night to think about things, and I have today to cruise on the road and see how this extreme performance machine deals with the sort of more civil-minded stuff of street driving. The track impressions remain. This thing is unquestionably one of the most capable cars you can get from a dealer these days. A lot of that's besides the point now, because we're on the street, we have speed limits, we have the ever-present threat of law enforcement around every corner. So the question is, what does this car feel like in public? When you slow this car down, it feels like a more powerful Corvette. You don't get much tram lining from these big wheels. The front end doesn't want to follow grooves in the pavement. It is louder, it is a little firmer, but it's certainly livable on a day-to-day basis. That's surprising for a vehicle of this capability. Normally, these track-oriented cars are so hardcore that you wouldn't want to drive them to the racetrack. But let's face it, you spend more time driving to the track than you do on the track. And the fact that this thing works well in both disciplines is really impressive. I can also dial everything back and cruise and not feel like I'm getting punished for driving a hardcore track machine. That's a really nice accomplishment. That's something that you won't find in cars that are this fast and cost maybe double this much. The engine in this car dominates the entire experience. You can't miss the engine. And the whole front end of this car is sort of a shrine to it. The way it pops out of the hood, the way it's covered with coolers around the sides. It is the experience of this car. And that does make driving this thing special. And also the fact that it doesn't look half bad either. In fact, I think it has some of the coolest looking wheels currently available on a new car. This car, as we mentioned, this car has the track package. The track package on this car gives you what they call competition bucket seats, which are a little wide for my taste, but I'm, not the widest person in the world. This automatic transmission works well. I mean, there's so much torque again out of this engine that it can be very smooth and almost imperceptible. It's clunky on occasion, and I think I might opt for the manual. Although Chevy tells me about 80% of its customers will go for the automatic, I don't think they're going to be disappointed. And that's going to be the faster transmission, drag strip, on the street too, and on the racetrack. Manual was a little bit more satisfying to my taste though. We have to talk about the exhaust. I have it set in the track setting. Let's quiet it down a little bit so you can hear the difference. Now I've set that separately from everything else, so let's put it in stealth. What happened to the engine sound? That's pretty amazing. Man, stealth is really stealth. And then go back to track. Wow, that's actually a really big difference. That's pretty great. The Corvette has always been a strong value proposition, and nowhere is that more evident than this ZR1, giving you nearly unbeatable track performance per dollar. Now, the nice thing is on the road, this doesn't feel like a ragged edge track machine either. You could genuinely drive it every day. The compromises are few, and that's what makes this car so special. If you like what you see, keep it tuned right here and be sure to visit Edmunds.com.